And we are Kassandra. We come to this day in love and enlightened in truth. This is acceptable to you.
Yes.
So we have asked to do this session, this meeting, to discuss a little bit around 2020 and what that means on a planetary vibration. We did a group channeling in Slovenia a few nights ago around the 2020, but a lot of that was specific to that country. So we decided that we wanted to do another one that sort of encompassed the planet, the whole of the planet, and make it condensed, so a little bit shorter but more poignant. Now, 2020 is a very interesting vibration because it is, as if you could say, 2020 vision, clarity, seeing things clearly, the truth being revealed. And if you look, it's quite even, 2020, so it's even in dark and light, meaning the darkness will be exposed and so will the light. Many of the light beings we've communicated to over the years, we have repeatedly said, you cannot hide yourself. You will not be able to hide yourself. You will not be able to hide your truth, your abilities, your connection, your knowingness. You will not be able to hold it in. So in other words, you'll have to start speaking your truth, even for some, if it's just to yourself and to nobody else. But to recognize the truth of what you truly believe inside yourself, not what you believe externally, not what you've been told, not what you've been educated or manipulated to understand and know, but what you know in yourself. Because for many, what you know in yourself is slightly different to what you are being given from the outside world. So you might hear someone's words and in yourself you feel uncomfortable. You have an inner knowing that this isn't the entire truth, or perhaps that person is not being ethical. There's something about it that you know. But instead of listening to yourself, you listen to the outside world. And then, of course, problems happen. And then you regret it. So what we're saying to you is, first and foremost, clarity around the self. Understanding the self, seeing yourself for truly who you are. And when you see yourself for truly who you are, you understand that there are shadow aspects of yourself that can go into greed and fear. What does poverty consciousness is? Fear. Fear that you won't have enough. Fear that someone will have more than you or take something from you. So going into those different elements of fear are actually what you've been taught to do from the outside world. But when you think about it and you feel into yourself, you understand that in this moment, I am okay. I don't know what will happen tomorrow or this evening, but for this moment, I am okay. And what we do know is this, that as the energy frequency picks up, everything will be amplified. So, if you are feeling and knowing that you're okay in this moment, chances are that in the next moment you will remain in the same vibration. Because vibration will become the most important thing for you. What you are feeling, what you know, what vibration you're choosing to connect with. Because the universe speaks in vibration. It doesn't speak in a particular language. Its language is vibration. So how you feel about yourself, how you feel within yourself will become very important. If you are holding certain feelings and understandings in yourself that do not belong to you, that come from your system, how you've been parented, how you've been educated, how you've been brainwashed and manipulated into thinking, that will all become very apparent because you'll start to feeling more and more uneasy. So when we say 2020, looking at the shadow is you will have to choose what side of the fence you're going to be on. You can no longer be in the middle, so to speak. So you cannot say, I am a person of love and integrity, all the while operating from fear. Or your motivation is anger to create, or your motivation is fear that you won't have enough, or your motivation is competition against someone else, or anger towards someone else. So you will not be able to create from the grey matter. You will have to choose. Do I fully embrace the darkness, or do I fully embrace the light? Now, fully embracing the light is not so easy. And some might say, oh yes, I have fully embraced the light, therefore I can sit here and tell you that you have something wrong with you, that you are a loser, that you're being manipulative, that you're being controlling, that you're bad, that you're evil, and all of these things. Therefore I am coming from the light. That's actually not coming from the light. That is coming from someone who wishes harm upon another. Someone who wants to control another, direct another, have authority over, but I know something about you that you don't know. So, it is not that going into the light and being completely honest gives you the right to abuse someone. It's not about being honest about the other person. It's actually about being honest about yourself. What are your motivations? What are your needs? What are your desires? What is it that you wish to co-create? And if there is someone who is not wanting to co-create the same thing, because they're still in victim mentality or persecutor or rescuer or wherever they're at, if they don't have the capacity at that moment to create the same thing in parallel with you, walk away. You don't have to walk away stating that that person is disgusting and revolting and everything else. You can just accept where they're at and walk away. And choose to place your energy in the light by creating from the light. You can create from anger just as easily as you can create from joy. You can create from both. But what we're saying is the time will come, particularly in this year 2020, it's when it starts. So the time will come when you'll have to choose. In which way do you wish to create? What sort of people do you want around you? Now, it doesn't mean that you drop all your friendships because someone is slightly angry one day. You can see how you feel about that anger. Are they projecting at you? Do you have compassion to understand their anger? Do you realize that that anger isn't yours? That it's not your fault? So this is why we're saying, be in the light, being the light of yourself. Not trying to fix everybody and everything, but just be in the light of yourself. And this will become very important. If you choose to go into the darkness of yourself, it's entirely your choice. However, in that choice, you might find it a little longer and a little bit more enticing, more difficult to come out of it. Because once you go into that darkness, it could create a ball rolling for you like an avalanche of then seeing everything from that darkness and everything from that pain and everything from that victim mentality. So you can allow yourself to heal yourself from that darkness, that shadow side, without projecting it on other people by taking self-responsibility. So if you do have shadow or darkness within yourself because of your pain, because of your experiences, then we would certainly suggest you address it with a professional that doesn't take it personally, that is able to support you in navigating yourself into a more loving, kind vibration. So the fact is that you're going to have to start choosing what it is that you want to create and how you want to create. That's the first thing about 2020. It's the beginning of that. Now, some of you have been feeling that sort of experience for a while, but you've also had a period of grace. And a lot of people are communicating about that period of grace. That period of grace means that you don't always manifest the negativity that you give out, because your spirit, your guides, the energy understands that's not your true intention. So sometimes when you act angrily at someone who walks across your path that you don't really know, but you're angry because you have to stop, or they drove erratically and you're angry at that, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily creating something bad for them or something bad for yourself. It's a time frame in which you get to understand, realize that anger is not actually supporting you or anyone else. And perhaps it's better to be responsible for that anger and go deal with it in a responsible way. And there are many ways in which you can do that and source that information. So what we're saying is it's time for absolute responsibility and absolute clarity, which means also that a lot of things are going to be revealed. So even though you may see, yes, in 2019, 2018, a lot of truth was revealed, and over the past 10 years, much has been revealed about abuse of finances, sexual abuse in the churches, in religions, in communities, financial abuse, financial manipulation. Now you're finding out about deals that are being done within countries. And more and more and more of this will come out, because the fact is that people have the right to choose what they want to align themselves with. So if they are aligning themselves with the light, then they need to be able to see what that light is. It's the same with the darkness. So if you're choosing a political party that has historically lied to you, then you're not doing very well in choosing that. We could tell you that perhaps most political parties lie. There are very few that are honest, very few on the entire planet. And most of them lie because they believe it's their right to do so for the better good. So they lie. They lie about what's really going on, the deals that are made, the inhabitants of the earth. They're lying that you are somehow disconnected from the universe. For instance, they understand, most of them have knowledge of UFOs, they work with alien beings, both dark and light, so they lie about all of that by keeping it undercover and not allowing you to know what they're really working with. And so all of these truths will start to come out in 2020, so you can make a choice. Now, you might say, well, I don't like this person because they're very honest and they're not, how can we say this, careful what they say, They don't have a filter, so they're honest to a fault. They just let everything out. That's not a reason to dislike someone. At least you know where you stand with that person. But why are they being so blatantly honest? Are they being honest to attack, or are they being honest to set people free? So you have to sort of look at that a little bit and see in yourself where you feel around that. So a lot of things in 2020 will start to be revealed. Now, because there is a battle going on between dark and light, it's quite obvious that is happening, and you're understanding there's a battle going on for the souls. So this battle that's going on is going on for your soul, for the energy that you create as a soul, the contribution that you give to the planet to co-create the realities in which you live. So each country has different belief systems, religions that control them, and realities, financially and otherwise, in which you exist. And all of these things have to come to balance. So when you look at the countries that are going to experience the most upheaval, they will be countries that suppress the divine feminine. And there's an uprise, and you're seeing it, it's already started, has been started for several years, an uprise of the divine feminine. However, the uprise of the divine feminine has sort of been hijacked a little bit, a bit like the New Age being hijacked. It's been hijacked a little bit in hatred towards the masculine. And it's being used to control and dominate, and that is not what the divine feminine is about. So, even in those arenas of divine feminine and divine masculine, there is a separation that has occurred. And that separation is going to begin to get healed. It will start in 2020. So there will be many women that will begin to voice. It's not about hating men or paying men back for what they've done. It's about obtaining a space within community that women can contribute to the bigger picture without feeling stupid or lesser than. So it's bringing balance, isn't it? When you look at 2020, it's clarity, it's also balance. It's balance of the male and female, balance of the dark and light. Now, we could say something to you like this. Yes, there's a battle going on, and it is between the dark and light, and both dark and light are battling for most of the people's souls. So you have light beings that absolutely know they're aligned with the light, but then you have billions that don't. And most of those that are listening to these sort of recordings are light beings or, star seeds of particular vibrations that understand what they have chosen before they came to planet Earth. So it's not really a decision that you are making. It's a decision that the human beings are making for their planet. And you are the influencers for those human beings to make an informed decision and choice. So a lot of you are waking up to the fact that you cannot hide what you know. You cannot hide your light. You cannot hide your abilities. You can no longer be ashamed of them or afraid of them or in some sort of resistance to them in case, what will people think? Will they still love me if they knew this about me? Will my family reject me if they knew I was doing this or that? So, the Great Awakening starts. And it starts with a lot of light beings making the choice to be absolutely listening to themselves. So the battle of dark and light that's going on the planet would indicate to you that both are vying for your attention, both are vying for your energy. And it's up to you to choose. You cannot say, well, I'm choosing light while you're being deceitful and justifying that deceit. Now, we can imagine that there are some of you saying, yes, but we have these human laws. And sometimes these laws go against humanity. Absolutely true. The law of total medical hijacking, where it is growing in populace that you no longer have a choice of what is medically done to you. Whether it's a vaccine, an operation, a series of medications or what have you, particularly with people who are on a lot of medications for anxiety, depression, etc., hormones. Instead of looking at something that is more natural, that is in harmony with the body, they're going against it. So, and this is going to become more and more enforced. Is that coming from the light. No, it's not, because it's not allowing you choice. It's not allowing you sovereignty over your spirit and your body. So if, let's say, you say, well, yes, I have had all of these vaccinations when you haven't, are you saving yourself or are you going against the law? Well, in fact, you're saving yourself, because that law is not in harmony with universal laws or the truth. And this, we would like to explain this like this, because some countries are at this moment and have been moving solidly towards more taxes, more restrictions, more violations against your human rights. 5G is a violation against your human rights, because once all those satellite goes out, you can't choose whether you want it or you don't. At the moment, you can choose if you have internet in your home or you don't. You can choose if you have a phone or you don't, if you're radiated or you're not. But once all of these satellites go into your atmosphere, you will not have a choice. That's a violation against your rights. So you can be in disagreement with that. You can actually say no. And there are many different people out there on the internet helping you to guide you into how to say no to your local governments, etc. So we would suggest that you get onto that, because once that starts, you cannot say no. You have no choice. It's the same with, why are they taxing you so much more and more and more? So you have less and less and less, so you feel more and more disempowered. We are saying to you, if you have the opportunity to not pay as much tax, then do it, because that's what those people who are in charge of you are doing. So that's not being deceitful. What's being deceitful is when you go against your own knowingness and you listen to the outside world, and what is telling you is law, which is against your own human body and your spirit, and your right to be prosperous, to have warmth, to have education, to have food, to have clothing, etc. So get that in perspective. Don't confuse man-made laws with universal laws. So don't think, well, if I'm doing all of this and I'm being a good person and I'm going with the law, then why are these horrible things happening to me? Why do I feel so bad? You feel bad because you're being influenced. And you're being influenced into another arena of reality. So the reality as you know it is co-created, and it's co-created through vibration, right? And through agreeance. So you all hook into a collective consciousness. In the beginning, two people, there was the Word, and the Word was co-created by a group of people that created a reality, and then you chose to be part of that reality, thus enhancing it and expanding it. So if you're not choosing to enhance and expand a reality with your being, then it cannot exist. It loses power. So if you want to feel empowered and in contact with your soul, start saying no to that which is being placed upon you and seeing it for what it really is. Now, part of the reason a lot of individuals are not seeing it for what it really is because they are already being brainwashed by technology. Technology is both light and dark. The beings, the alien beings, or intergalactic beings, we won't call them alien beings, the beautiful intergalactic beings that are working with your governments are both that from the light, they're good, and those that are not so good. So your governments are choosing weapons and war over healing, clean water, free energy, etc. So that's what your government is choosing at the moment, because that's what the original collective consciousness wanted. They wanted power over the people because they were ignorant and being influenced. And now is the time for you to choose not to be influenced. So if you think that your internet and your connection with all of this 4G and 3G and coming 5G is not influencing your consciousness, stop and think for a moment. How many of you have small memory? How many of you get impatient really quickly, get angry really fast? How many of you forget things? How many of you feel tired? How many are ill? Look at the illnesses that are around. Many of you suffer physical illnesses as a result of that invasion in your body that you chose. Many of you choosing it, and you're choosing to be around it 24 hours a day. If you were to rebalance your body at the moment and go into nature and turn it all off in your sleep state and do a few things, you'll find your health will improve and you will get a lot better. But you're choosing not to because you're choosing to believe that it's harmless, when in fact it's influencing you, it's nullifying you, it's distracting you so that you get so distant from yourself that you don't hear the universal laws that reside within yourself that are in direct disharmony with the laws residing on planet Earth at this moment. And this is all going to become very apparent. And as it does, people are going to create revolutions. They've already started. If you think these revolutions are going to calm down, they are not. They're going to spread through. And in particular, as we said, countries where women are being oppressed. It's a great awakening. And it started, but it's going to be amplified. Therefore, your energy will be amplified. China will go through a revolution. What's happening in Hong Kong will also start to happen in China, which is what they're afraid of. And they're trying to stop it, but it won't stop it. The Arab countries will also go through revolution because the women are starting to be influenced by the Western world and the women of the West who have rights. And these women are starting to understand, well, I have rights. Same in all Asian countries, all Middle Eastern countries, every African countries where women are oppressed. It will all start to rise. And it will be up to the men, rather than being in the negative aspect of the male to dominate and control, to start defending their women, their wives, their daughters, their mothers, their aunts, their sisters, to start defending them and their rights. Stand beside your women. It's not to take energy and power from you, but it's because they have been empowering you behind closed doors for centuries. How many women can say they have encouraged a man to achieve what he wanted? How many women have given the missing link to what that is? Billions. And for that, they are chained to a kitchen floor, raped and beaten, sold to the highest bidder. So, this needs to be set right. When you think about Indigenous individuals saying, well, okay, we need to set this right of what's happened to them and their land. You could say the same for every single woman on the planet. For every time she has been looked at in an unhealthy way, made to feel uncomfortable walking down a street, felt enslaved in her own body and her own mind, paid less, valued less, heard not at all. If you were to make an amendment for that, there wouldn't be enough gold, silver and finances to pay back for what's happened. But what would balance it out is to finally be heard and to be a member of the community. What is 2020? It's a balance. It's the balance of male and female, but it's also the balance of dark and light, to see things clearly for what they are. The sacred male has also been abused through war, through being taught that it's through domination and control that they are masculine, and this is not true. It hurts the male to act like this. It takes away his very heart and soul to behave like this. There are many young men that are choosing, oh, well, let's just go into the feminine and, take away all my masculinity. Why would they want to do that? Because they cannot align with the masculine that resides on the planet, because it's contrary to what their heart feels. So then they go down another road, and then they discover, well, actually, it's not much fun being a woman either. So they have you both feminine and masculine need to find the divinity in each other and in themselves. And this is starting already. Now, we also spoke about these solar flares, photon bands. There are many names for them. The solar flares, yes, they're happening. And we would say to you this. There's a lot of evidence that has been shown to you from your intergalactic brothers and sisters that they will not allow any form of nuclear war to happen on the earth. They will disarm those nuclear weapons. Now, the solar flares may come at a time to disarm these 5G satellites, well, all satellites actually. And so what we're saying to you is this. Let's say if you or many of your countries decide to create a nuclear war, then of course your star seed brothers and sisters would have to intervene. Therefore, you would lose your free will on the planet. So you're always given choice as a collective to have the free will to say no to something. So to the most part, most of you have said no to war because it hasn't happened. And if enough of you say no to these 5G satellites, it won't happen. What will happen is, well, actually, there is already manifest an ability to, that is, like the internet, only it gives life. It's a magnetic, it's not so much electric, it's magnetic. And it creates a light frequency that actually gives energy, and information can ride upon that in the same form, and it would be faster than what you would even expect this 5G to be. It's already in existence. However, it is not being used because it doesn't give power to certain people, and they cannot make the amount of money that they would make, and it would not cause the damage that it's going to cause. So there are various different reasons why they would not allow that to happen. There are various different reasons why they haven't allowed non-petrol or diesel vehicles to be very big. You can run an engine off air or water, but they haven't become registered. Why? Because they wouldn't make as much money from them. So there are many reasons why these inventions have been destroyed, held back, bought out. And you're going to find that a lot of these inventions have sort of been patented but been bought out by big conglomerates that don't want them on the earth. Now, all of this will come out, and the truth will be revealed around it. However, it's not so easy to understand the truth when it's being revealed, when it goes against everything that you knew. It's frightening. So that is why we're suggesting that you go within. Meditation is extremely important. You will find that as you meditate, it will become deeper and stronger. You'll start to hear different sounds, because the sound of the earth is starting to become even more activated in its connection to the universe, simply because the veil or the astral plane is becoming very weak. The veil between the dimensional realities is becoming very weak. So it's all opening up, meaning that planet Earth is now opening up to the reality that it is part of the universe. Now, it's always been part of the universe, but energetically it's been cut off by certain, we could say, vortexes that were shut down that have now been reopened over a number of years. So for thousands of years, these vortexes were shut down. Now they are reopened. A lot of them are almost fully activated. And so because of that, you are realizing that you are part of the universe. So many of you will start seeing these intergalactic brothers and sisters, having communication with them. This will start inspiring people. A lot of people are doing already what you call light code speech. We would say with that, just be aware of who you're allowing into your body that's communicating with you, because there are many beings out there pretending to be something that they're not. So just have a little bit of understanding around that before you open yourselves up to certain frequencies. Make sure that your intention is pure and you know how to connect with something that is of the light and not be deceived. So as this awakening to the universe happens, these beings that have already been residing on planet Earth, that are coming from high frequency planets, and they reside in human bodies, but they also reside in their own form, their natural form, under the earth. So these beings will start to bring out more of the wonderful inventions and creations, and they will be brought out to the planet to utilize, to heal, to free, to energize, to enhance the planet's beauty and stability. Now, what can happen in the meantime is you're starting to understand that your collective consciousness has an impact on the Earth's collective consciousness. So, in other words, you have an impact on your nature, on your water, on your air, on your plants, on your crops. You have an impact in that. And as you start to stop being distracted by chaos and fear and control, and you start to focus on what is good and love and kindness within yourself, and that reverberates out externally, and then you start to connect with like-minded people, and then you start to co-create a connection with the earth that brings about an awakening of the earth's vibration, which is already starting to happen. You will find that in some ways, rejuvenation will start in some areas that have been decimated. So you might find species coming back, plants coming back to life, oxygen levels going up, things being regenerated and rejuvenated. You may find that. You'll find solutions to problems, because not necessarily because the people who are awakening to it have the solution, but the solution comes from the vibration that they're resonating in. And so this will become very exciting. There's a lot of goodness to look at. Now, on the other hand, there will be other individuals that will choose to go into darkness, and they will want to create chaos, and they will want to create, how can we say this, world events, tragedies, events that will harm others and create within the consciousness of those that are wanting to create love and peace, fear. So what we're saying to you is, when these events happen, send love, send light to those events, but don't go into fear. Understand it for what it is. Now, we also spoke about those flares actually, knocking out those satellites. We touched on that. So what that can do is also knock out the grids, the energy grids. So some countries will be out of electricity, parts of that country, not all of it, some all of it. Depends where you are, where it hits. So what that does is for some it will be a matter of days, others weeks, others months, depending on where it is on the planet. What that does is it gives an opportunity for you all, for all of your minds to be set free from the technology that is constantly influencing you into feeling and thinking a certain way. And so if you're set free from that, because you have to be, because you haven't chosen to go into nature and turn these things off at night, if you have to be, then you will be in the place where it will be the longest. Yeah? And from that, people will start to wake up because they're disconnected from the technology. They will start to connect to their hearts, to the universal frequencies, to God, whatever you want to call it. They will start to connect with that, and then peace will come. So be a little prepared for that. You see, if you're being influenced by negativity, in other words, on your news, on your media, in all your movies, your music, everything that is entering your body on a frequency level and on a visual and hearing level, everything that is entering your body that is manipulating you and controlling you to believe that your reality has to be a certain way, that is trying to get you to let go of your sovereignty. When that is removed from your reality and you go back to who you are, you will suddenly realize that you don't hate men and you don't hate women. You will see the value in every individual. And you will start to see the individual as a soul, not as a gender. Even though you will still have genders, it's not that that will go away. You will still have genders, but you'll start to see that gender as a soul. And when you start to see that gender as a soul, it impacts your heart. So for some, you will start to feel very connected to the people that come into your life. Don't go into the human expectation of, oh wow, this is someone of the opposite sex or this is someone of the same sex, but I feel great love for them, therefore I must turn it into a sexual relationship. This is not true. The level of love that you will feel is for all living things. It's not to take it into sexuality, but to take it just to love. To allow it to simply be love. We're not saying that you will no longer have sexual relationships, but what we're saying is don't naturally assume, because then you could have 5 people you're deeply in love with. And you don't really want to have a sexual relationship with 5 people. That could get messy. We don't do it in spirit, and you will not do it in the physical. So, really going within yourselves and understanding that you are sovereign beings and you have a right to say no to what is happening on your planet. And how you say no is to not participate in it. Now, we're not suggesting that you suddenly don't watch anything on the internet and don't have a mobile phone, but put it in perspective. Don't be on it all day. First thing in the morning, last thing at night. Don't be on it all day. It's addictive. It's mind-numbing. It is taking over you. You'll have to detox. Government systems will need to transform, because continually there will be disagreements over which side wins, which side is better. So coalitions will have to start of all parties. And we've spoken about this before in other groups, that it will come and it will start next year in 2020, where things will not be able to come to some sort of resolution if both parties only want to manipulate and control. Neither will be able to have the upper hand. So from that you will have new politicians, new systems coming about that will change the landscape of that. When you think about these organizations, whether they are religious organizations, charitable organizations, all of these sort of things will be exposed also for what they are doing, because the dark will not be able to hide just as much as the light can't. Whether you want to see it or not will no longer be your choice, because you will have to make a decision on what sort of planet you want to live in. And what we can say to you is that the planet is evolving. So unless you evolve with it, you will leave it. Collaboration, yes? These things will have to start. You'll have to start collaborating with each other, joining forces, choosing to work together, because it's the beginning of unity consciousness. So you might find people create communities in which they live, communities that happen also online to educate children. A lot of parents will take children out of the school system because the school system is very corrupt. To the most part, it's very corrupt. It is no longer teaching children to think, to solve problems, to be inquisitive. It's just teaching them to learn. So a lot of parents will choose to homeschool, and those homeschools might partly be done online. So if you're a teacher and you don't like the system, find a whole homeschooling community and say, I'm willing to teach these children. I can do it online, I can do it in person, and perhaps all of those parents can pay collectively your wage. So community, co-creating, going against what those man-made laws are, and standing up for your rights as sovereign beings, coming under universal law. Do not be afraid to do this. Now, we're not saying every country is like that. There are some countries that are very considerate to the inhabitants of that country and have things in a very nice manner, where education is good, medical is good, pension is good, taxation is reasonable. We're not saying that you shouldn't have a taxation system where everyone contributes to the whole, for roads, for schools, for medical, etc. But it has to be in a way that all of that, it's not an enterprise, it's not about profit for politicians. All that money should be used in the community, not siphoned off to create war or devastation in another country to get a bit of oil, Not siphoned off in a private bank account on a little island somewhere just in case, or to build a bunker for the privileged. No, all of that money should be going back into the community, and that's what will start. Now, we're not going to say that it'll be finished by the end of 2020, not at all, but the concepts will start. The desire for it will start. Because many of you are thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't know how this is going to change. I don't know how I'm going to cope. I'm just closing the door and staying inside and keeping silent and separating myself because I cannot stand to go outside and be in all this mess. Search out other individuals like yourself. And for goodness sake, don't go into competition in these environments. Play your role. Know what your role is. Don't put your hand in someone else's bucket and try to control everything and tell everybody how they should be living their lives or doing their role or their job. Do your own. Hold yourself accountable for what you've chosen to do. Don't give excuses. You have the power to co-create a brand new planet. You are not enslaved by the government systems and these man-made laws. You just think you are. And because you think you are, you contribute to the collective consciousness of that reality. And we are asking you to begin to think and feel in a different way. And when you meditate, if you hear sounds, know that this is the divine sounds of all of those vortexes awakening and becoming activated on the planet and joining with your field. So what's going to become very important for many of you who are used to retreating, hibernating, being on your own, what's going to become important to you is to expand your vibration, to feel comfortable enough in your home, in your room, wherever you are, to let it be free. Don't give it a boundary. Let it expand. But don't expand it when you're feeling fear or pain or suffering. Expand it when you're feeling that heart connection to Mother Earth and the universe. Then expand it out and let it be there. Let it hover there. And when it hovers there, state to the entire planet, I'm calling on all souls that vibrate with the same frequency as me, that want to create the same sort of things on the planet as I do, to connect with me. Guide me to you. I am guiding you to me. Start putting out that you want to connect to those beings and start co-creating together. As we said, more and more communities will be built. And we said a very long time ago that you will start to realize as you awaken your true gifts and your true abilities, you will start to realize that as a collective, you can in fact co-create a sort of dome over the reality in which you are choosing to live, the community that you're choosing to live in, that is of protection, of safety. And it can also co-create a microcosm of weather conditions that are different. You can literally create what it is that you wish to have within that space by collectively coming together and meditating on one thing. Common goal of love and peace and harmony. You can actually do that. See, what you've been operating off, mankind we're talking about, is the electric aspect of yourself, which is quite powerful when you think of the human body. It's constantly creating electricity because it's constantly in movement. Anything that is in movement can create electricity, right? So therefore, you have been creating from the electric masculine aspect of the soul. And as the divine feminine awakens, which is the magnetic, and that starts to be balanced out, you start to realize that instead of always seeking outside of yourself and looking at what other people do and how you can fit in and how you can act within that community to get your spot in it, your place in it, your money in it, your house in it, all through action. You will find that it's not about being in inaction either. You'll find the magnetic part of you, as the divine feminine starts to rise, the magnetic part of you draws to you what it is that you ultimately want to create. And when you have the magnetic and the electric aspects of yourself in harmony, regardless of whether you're male or female, they still need to be in harmony. If you have too much masculine, you burn out. There's fighting. It's too aggressive. Too many males, It's too much action, too much competition. If you have too much feminine, nothing gets done. Because they want to sit around and talk, yeah? Well, not really, but you see, when it's just only receiving and only giving, there's a problem. But when inside of you, you have both the masculine and you have the feminine activated, then you're at neutral point. When you're at neutral point or 0 point energy, anything can be created instantaneously in a lot of circumstances. The only reason why you don't instantaneously create is because you're mostly functioning in an environment that doesn't believe that that can happen and is lopsided in how you create. You have to create through force, through action, through dominating, through controlling, through someone losing and somebody winning. Whereas when you look at creating from that balance of masculine and feminine, it has to be a win-win situation. You need to take both things into effect, the giving and the receiving. What's the receiving? The receiving is the knowing, understanding, is this right for me? Does it feel good? Is it in harmony with where I wish to go, what I wish to co-create? The receiving could be perceived as a sixth sense. So when you have these two things in balance and you go to 0 point, everything is in harmony around you. You are an extremely empowered being. And we're not going to say in human form that that is an easy thing to come in contact with within yourself. But part of the key is to meditate. What do you do when you meditate? You receive. So when you're receiving, you're activating your magnetic field. And that's why many of you are getting this push where you felt you didn't want to meditate. Now you're wanting to meditate. Now you're wanting to find your center. Now you're wanting to find peace. Because, as we said, everything will be amplified. Your shadow and your light. Everything. And you will not be able to go into the light of 5D with your shadow. There's no trick to getting in there. You just have to go in there with a pure heart. Now that doesn't mean that your shadow doesn't pop up and you question it. So your shadow might say, for instance, you go into a shop and you buy something for $15 and you give the person you're buying it from $20 and that person gives you back $35. So they've given you change of $50 and you're very aware of it. Now at that point you could say to yourself, well, the universe has given me a gift, yeah, some extra money, and take it. Or, so that's the shadow part of yourself justifying the fact that you just allowed someone to give you more than what was meant for you. Yeah? So you might turn around and go into the light side of yourself and say to the young person, well, no, I gave you 20, you only need to give me 5. Because you know that that person is going to have to pay that $30, whether it's out of their wage or in time. They will be penalized for it. So then you can't look at it as, oh, well, that's my karma, that's my win. I just won, $30. Now, if you were to find $20 on the street and you didn't see where it came from, nobody found, that's a gift from the heavens, yeah? That's a manifestation, but not getting the wrong change. The wrong change is like an opportunity to go through what we call an initiation. And the initiation is of honesty and integrity. And if you fail it, then of course you'll have to go through another one. So that's what we mean by being in the light. You don't have to justify the fact that you took the 30. Oh yes, that was the universe giving me an extra $30 because I want to go out for dinner this evening. No. If the universe wanted to give you $30, it would give you either an opportunity to find $30 on the ground, to earn $30, or for someone to honestly give you $30. So don't play games with yourself about being in the light. It's the same when you want to communicate something to someone. Someone says, oh, can you come and help me with this? And in your heart you don't feel it's the right thing and you say, yes, yes, I'll help you, and then you ring up sick. And you knew you were going to ring up sick the whole time and let them down. But you didn't give that person the opportunity to find someone else. You just let them down. So the best thing to do is say, well, I don't think that's in alignment with me, or it doesn't feel right to me, or I don't have time to do it. I'm really sorry. I wish you well to find someone. You could even say, can I think about it and get back to you in a couple of hours? Because you need that person to know. They need to know. And then you can sit with it and say, well, do I feel that I can genuinely lend myself to this situation? I genuinely want to help this person? Or do I feel like, actually, no, I don't want to help this person. I don't have the energy. I'm tired. I just want to go to sleep. I've got something else that I want to do that really makes me feel joyful. So then you can be honest with the person and just say, it doesn't feel right for me to do this at this moment. I'm terribly sorry. I know that you want me to help you, but I just don't feel I can. That's being honest. So all of these little things, initiations into the light, will happen. It's up to you to choose. You can justify going into shadow and darkness if you want. But just know that the more that you justify going into it, the deeper you go into it. So for some, they will experience turmoil and they will experience disasters, and there will be chaos. And this chaos is created, these disasters, these, events that are very tragic. Some of the reason that they happen is to bring people together, because you're so busy fighting with each other, judging each other, hating each other, that sometimes you need tragedy to bring you together. And that's what happens in those circumstances, in those countries. And of course, a lot of people will be choosing to leave the planet. And some of them may choose to leave the planet of their own accord. And we would like it if you didn't consider that a sin. Because if someone consciously chooses to leave the planet, that's their decision. Once they get over to the other side, they may soon realize that if they've chosen to leave because, they're hurt, they've felt rejection, they've felt pain, and instead of healing it on planet Earth, they think they're going to get away from it in what you call heaven, they're mistaken. So they might be able to heal it in the other realms, or they might be a discussion for them to reincarnate and heal it again in the physical. What you find is some people are choosing to heal it through someone else. So a member of the family might pass away, but they might stay around just to help a situation through another member of the family. There are lots of different things going on. But if someone chooses to let go of their physical body, it's their choice. So for those of you that choose to go into your heart, the connections that you'll feel, the love that you will feel, the bliss that you can feel, and also to create from joy will be a wonderful thing. And you will have a lovely few years while the rest of the world is going in turmoil. Don't engage in it. Don't think that for you to be loving and kind you have to engage in all the turmoil, because you don't. And that is why a lot of you have chosen to be alone, chosen to hide away, chosen to be hidden, because you couldn't stand it, because you felt that you had to get out there and help and convince everyone they're doing the wrong thing. This is the right way. Well, you don't need to do that, but you do need to get outside a little bit, spread out your energy and start joining with those that think along the same lines, because they actually exist and you can connect with them. So unity is going to become a very big theme. Co-creating is going to become a very big thing. So where you have these big conglomerates eating up all the little companies and becoming the powerhouses, the institutions that are governing everyone, you can choose not to align with that by not aligning with it financially. Don't give your money to it. Don't give your energy to it. Align with smaller companies. Advocate for them. Spread their knowledge. Spread their products. So when you talk about these products that are, what do you call it, like, you buy from a friend and everyone makes a little bit of money. We don't know what you call that. What do you call it? You purchase something. A friend has it, you purchase it, and then other people can purchase it from you. So it's not put on the shelves in a shop. It's sold through parties, through gatherings, through. Yeah. We don't know what you call this. What do you call it?
I don't remember.
Okay. So this way of selling products, yeah? Products that are healthy, products that are ethical, products that are good. A lot of people are afraid to buy these products because they say, well, it's not in a shop, the doctor didn't prescribe it, it's not in the pharmacy shelves, or it's not, oh, I don't like this. What they're doing is contributing to big conglomerates owning everything, in fact, when they reject that.
Did you think about network marketing?
Is that what it's called, when you network it? Is it?
Maybe.
Yeah, network marketing. Yeah. Okay, so that is it. Network marketing. Because there are many vitamins, minerals, products. You take one product that you do
like
to
ASEA.
this. Yeah, so you do this, and then, you also have, there are things for children. There are many things out there. Ointments, all sorts of things that you can buy off someone, and everyone's making a little bit of money. So instead of them paying for a store or marketing or advertising and all of these things, they're actually sharing that particular amount of money with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this will become very popular and much bigger. And of course you can sell on the internet, and through these mediums, yes. So the things that people are selling will be sold online or through this network marketing, because what you're doing is you're removing the control of these big companies. So again, voting with your wallet. Yeah? And eventually all of this will sort of well, if you were to look at your planet in 10 years' time, it's a completely different planet. There is peace and there is calm. But in order to get there, sometimes you have to expose that which is not calm and not peaceful. And that can be very confronting. So you will have 20/20 vision. Well, you might require still glasses, but you'll have 20/20 vision in other ways. So that's what this 20/20 is about. It's heralding in the balance of male and female, the balance, or the being able to see very clearly dark and light. So shadow doesn't have a place anymore. Yeah? That period of grace will not exist anymore. So you'll have to choose. And it will be entirely up to every individual to choose that. You cannot force someone, and you cannot get it through wearing a particular symbol or clothing or crystal for that matter. Yes, they can enhance things. Absolutely they can improve your lives. But they cannot make you make a choice to be in the light. If you still choose to not, say that a person's giving you too much, or if you still choose to lie, to deceive, to, act unethically, and to not actually be informed also. Like we said, if you're a sovereign being, you have to know what you're putting in your body in every way. You have to know what's resonating in your body in every way. And you have to have choice. So that's what it's going to give you, the choice to say yes or no. And so now we will leave this communication. If we feel that there is more that we wish to say, we will do another recording. And we thank you all for listening. Whoever listens to this recording, we thank you very much. And we will say, welcome in 2020 as a year of joy in a lot of ways. You can choose it. You can choose how to operate it. In fact, our daughter will be running with someone else, a collaboration, a program that helps you to choose joy as a vehicle for manifestation. So we leave you in our love and our light and our truth and our blessings. Goodbye.